Hello and welcome to the RotoWire Esports Show. Hey, League of Legends is back, so we're here. We're going to be covering it. My name is Ethan Sexton, as you know, and as you can tell, I'm on the left side of the screen this time, and Andrew Laird is not here. So I'm pulling hosting duties for the first time. So I said if we have any hiccups, that's on me, but we'll get better. I'll get better as I go along as the quote unquote host. But joining me today is DFS Chan. Chan, welcome to the show, man. How are you?
Good. How are you doing, Ethan?
Doing well. Excited that League is back. We got a little bit of a taster with some LCS action, but I don't know about you, but I really don't like playing the best of one slates that much because there's so much chaos, as we saw in the first slate Friday night. I think one favorite won, if I'm remembering right. So I'm really happy to jump back into some LPL and LCK starting Wednesday. We'll get some 4-game slates, but for tomorrow we'll have the 2-game slate in the LPL. So welcome, and we're happy to have you on board. Do you want to give just a little background? How long have you been watching League? What got you into it? What got you into the DFS side of League? And we'll do a little intro before we look at tomorrow's slate.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And thanks RotoWire for having me. And I've been playing League of Legends since 2007 and 8. When it first became popular, and obviously it's been a game that has has been around for a long time, and there's a reason for that. And I'm happy that it's starting to gain popularity amongst newcomers and other people. So, and then I've been watching the professional scene for a long time, since 2010. And especially I got very into it a few years ago when I actually went to a Worlds event at Madison Square Garden in New York. And that was, just eye-opening experience. And, I saw the potential in that. So, but yeah, I've been playing DFS, League of Legends since it became available on DraftKings, and then sometimes here and there on FanDuel. But yeah, I agree. I'm excited about the LPL season. And yeah, yesterday, LCS, 100 Thieves beats Cloud9, and they look horrible on Saturday. I'm on Friday, and yesterday they beat Cloud9. It's just so unpredictable and volatile. So
I know. Luckily, we won't have to ever probably talk about LCS or LEC one-game slates. But just to reiterate, Friday, I played Golden Guardians against Cloud9 because the narrative, which is always risky to adhere to coming into any DFS slate, right? The narrative was that Cloud9 didn't start scrims until Thursday or Wednesday at the earliest, I think. So they had only had 2 or 3 days of scrims. So I thought, well, maybe they'll be a little rusty. I wasn't excited about playing Golden Guardians, of course. So I played them and they won. Golden Guardians, a huge upset, worst team beating the best team, right? But then 100 Thieves was the team I played them with, and they were awful. So that was great. So anyway, we digress. Let's not get ourselves angry about the LCS one-game slates and stuff like that. We'll jump into some LPL. But do you have a favorite team, or you got any favorite teams, or are you more like I have favorite players kind of guy?
More of, I'm a huge FPX fan. But but I like seeing upsets here and there as well. Which, we'll talk about throughout the season, but I'm more of an LCK fanatic as well. Because, I grew up in Korea, and I grew up playing League of Legends while I was there too. So, anyway, so I digress, but LPL is exciting, obviously. A lot more kills, a lot more fights, team fights. So we can talk about that now.
All right. Well, yeah, let's go ahead and jump into tomorrow's slate. So if I can get the transition down here, it's not the smoothest. Andrew's got way more experience than me, guys. So give me a break, right? But as we look, only a 2-gamer tomorrow. The 2-gamers are kind of. I like playing them. I still play them every slate, but, I prefer to have, the 4-game slates because we get a lot more options, obviously. But tomorrow's not a bad one for a 2-gamer. We've got FPX, our team that we said we both like here quite a bit. FPX are coming in as the biggest favorite on this slate against Rogue Warriors, and rightfully so. One of the best teams going against one of the worst from last split, and probably going to be one of the worst again this split, most people think. But the first game of the day, that 5 a.m. Eastern game between Invictus Gaming and Suning. Looks like a pretty close one. On DraftKings pricing anyway, Suning are priced as slight favorites, but it's close. I think they're, like that $200 spot more expensive than IG.
Right.
I think let's start by taking a look at that FPX Rogue Warriors series, because I think that's the easier of the two to kind of dissect. As we look at that, we see the lineups on the screen. FPX are starting. These lineups are confirmed, by the way. They came out just right before we went live, so that was great timing.
Yes.
FPX is coming in as expected with their 5-man lineup that we're used to seeing. The only kind of question mark was whether Tien would start. He did end the spring split, so we kind of thought he would. So he's in there starting, and the rest is as is. Rogue Warriors have promoted 2 academy players to their main roster in 89-17 and Ice Coke, which is got to be up there for one of the best names in the LPL. We get some good ones every now and then. So those are 2 newcomers. They were on Rogue Warriors academy team in the spring, just so everybody knows. And then I think the only other news with their lineup is that Zwuji is back, and it's not going to be Betty, it's going to be Zwuji. Do those moves, Zwuji the big one, because he was a much hyped guy, throughout his time on the team, and then didn't play really in the spring at all, if I'm remembering right. Do those moves give you any hope for Rogue Warriors tomorrow, or do you think this series is pretty clear-cut sweep for FPX?
Honestly, yeah. I mean, the most surprising thing about that lineup is Ice Coke. Obviously, Haro last split, and then for his career, really, I mean, has been a very good jungler in my opinion. Obviously, he's been stuck on a bad team.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, he actually gave Rogue Warriors a chance to win at times. But now with Ice Coke, I mean, I can kind of pull up what he has played before in the LDL league, in the minor league, for the LPL. So he played Udyr, Hecarim, Olaf, Udyr, Volibear. So, I mean, these are obviously the champs that are, in the meta. We're in the meta. But, it looks like his kill participation is not that great. It's not, usually you see terrific junglers, out of their teams, be their number 1 or number 2 kill participation player on that team. But it looks like, he's okay, it seems like. So in my opinion, I don't know. I don't know if it's an upgrade from Haro. So that kind of is a question for me. And then, yeah, like you said, at 80 carry position, Wuji's not bad. Betty, I thought, actually had a okay year last split. So I actually think this lineup may be worse, than last splits. But who knows? Obviously they see potential in these 2 players at the top lane and the jungle position. So I think it's possible. But obviously, according to the Vegas odds, FPX is negative 3,300, so 3,300. So that's obviously astronomical.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, like Ethan, you said, like you said, I think FPX is probably the pick if you're building 1 or 2 lineups. But if you're building 150 lineups for whatever reason on a 2-game slate, then obviously Rogue Warriors might be a shot to take.
Yeah. I think the key thing, in your analysis there, is you said Rogue Warriors lineup might be worse. And they were already one of the worst after spring, right? So it's it's kind of a scary thing. One thing I forgot to mention, and thank you for bringing up the point on Haro, because I completely overlooked it when I went through their lineup. I agree with you. I think he was he was kind of coin flippy sometimes, but when he was good, he was really good. So we'll have to see how this Ice Coke thing turns out. Of course, Haro is still on the roster, so there's potential for substitution in there if they lose game 1 or things of that nature. So one thing I meant to point out too about Rogue Warriors is 89-17 did he played for Rogue Warriors Academy team last split, but he did used to play for AHQ in the Taiwanese league. So he's following in the footsteps of Ziv, who he's replacing. But I think Rogue Warriors for tomorrow is really a no-go for me, because I'm not a guy who makes a ton of lineups. So they might as well not even be on this slate other than to get beat, basically, is how I'm looking at them. But I think, we can watch them, see how they play. And maybe there might be something there in some easier matchups, depending on, how their newcomers look. And, if Zwuji can kind of round back into form after a split off. He was very exciting in the past, and he has been a guy that can carry games. So for tomorrow, I think it's a no-go for me. The Vegas odds, like you said, are astronomical. So I think, they're a pretty hard pass for me tomorrow. But I really, really like FPX. But before we kind of talk about, how much FPX we need to jam in, let's jump to that, IG and Suning game that's going to kick off the slate, kick off the summer split for the LPL. This one to me is reflected in the pricing on DraftKings, and reflect in my thoughts. I think this is a very close one. Obviously, Suning come in, they've got their normal 5-man squad that we saw in the spring, so they're ready to go as normal. And then for IG, the big news is Nenny is gonna come in and play for the Shy. Nenny joins from IG's LDL Academy roster. And the Shy is out right now with visa issues, so I'm not sure how long they're going to last. Luckily in the LPL, we get those confirmed lineups, which is nice. So we'll know when he's back. I look at this IG team, the lineup, and the first thought might be for people, well, the Shy is out. Who's this Nenny guy? Let's jump on Suning. But actually, I was kind of like that at first, but then I was like, well, the Shy, arguably was pretty crap for most of the spring split, right? So,
yes.
We don't know. I personally don't know a lot about this Nenny guy. I don't watch the LDL, I admit. But do we think this is going to be a huge downgrade for them, or do we just think like it's a downgrade in name value? Do we think IG can have a shot in this series?
I think IG definitely has a shot. Obviously, if they play to their potential, obviously their individual skills are very good. And honestly, in my opinion, Suning is more of a team fight team, in my opinion. Like, they're very good at team fights, but in the individual laning phase, I think Suning struggles a little bit. And I think last split, Huanfeng kind of lacked motivation to play better after the Worlds last year.
Yep.
So I think he comes back and kind of comes out firing, in my opinion. And I think the meta kind of favors, in my opinion, Suning. I think Suning. I think the only weak position I see, obviously Ben is a very strong laner, and then good team fighter. He teleports in. He does a lot for that team. On as a support is probably the only weakest spot, in my opinion. Angel played decent on, but it also, like, looking at the Invictus Gaming support position. Sorry about I have a 3-year-old in there.
All good, man. I've got a kid. I get it. No problem.
Yeah, so I'm actually glad that IG is starting Wink and Lucas bottom lane. Obviously, on the IG side, I think they were struggling last split as to who to start at the bottom lane. But in my opinion, Wink and Lucas are probably the best, individual skills players, in my opinion, out of those 3 AD carries and 2 supports. So I'm glad that IG is starting. I think IG definitely has a shot. Nenny, like you said, a lot of uncertainty. It looks like he played Gnar, Irelia, a lot of Gnars, basically. So obviously that helps a lot with team fights than the Shy did. Obviously the Shy is more individual laner and the Nenny, I think, in my opinion. So I think it will help IG. But if I had to pick, a winner, obviously I would go with Suning. Okay. I think they should be the favorite. So I think IG, just having struggled last year so much as a team, I don't know if they can recover from that quite yet. Obviously, Rookie will have to carry that team. And last point I'll make about IG is June, the jungler. Obviously, he had an amazing split as he became the starter. So I think as long as June and Rookie play well, and other laners don't get behind so much, I think they have a shot. But in my opinion, Suning will win. So
yeah, okay. I agree with most of what you said there. I really like your point about like Wink and Lucas. I agree like wholeheartedly with that. I think that's the bot lane duo that offers the most upside and is the best on this IG team. They've got options, but I really think Wink, when he was on E-Star in 2020, he was a big reason why that team, was really very surprising, in the spring split especially. I think he was a very talented player. So I was glad to see that he was starting as well. I believe he, if I'm remembering right, ended the season as the starter in the playoffs and stuff like that. I think that I do like this IG lineup. I think like when I look at this matchup, to me, it's basically, I think that Ben has the advantage over Nenny, as a rookie coming in. And Ben has been, to your point, a dominant laner and a dominant team fighter. So, when he pulls out things like the jacks and stuff like that, he can really dominate a matchup. So I think, I give the advantage to Suning in the top lane. I think I give the advantage to Suning in the bottom lane as well. But to your point, it depends on which Huan Fang shows up. If it's superstar looking Huan Fang that we've seen in the past, I think I give Suning the advantage, but it's like a slight advantage because I do like Wink and Lucas, as we just talked about. And then that mid jungle duo is really the interesting one, because I think if you look at mid lane exclusively, then rookie you would give the advantage to as a laner over Angel, but it's not like a snowball like advantage, right? So, and then when you throw the junglers in, though, like June was awesome last year, like you said, but I think SOFM pairs really well with Angel. Like they're a really good mid-jungle duo. So while a lot of times we don't really think of Angel and SOFM as like the most explosive, like insane in their roles, I think combined together, they're really smart and really good as a duo. So, it's going to come down to some small matchup advantages, I think, and things like that. Should be a close series. I think I lean this one's going to be a 2-1 either way. I could see either team winning. I think for DFS, do you think that, if we get more like DraftKings lineup centric, do you think that most people are going to try to go FPX Suning, or do you think because you can fit more FPX if you go IG, do you think FPX IG will be a bit more chalky? Obviously, Rogue Warriors are going to be the lowest owned team on this slate, with the lowest chance, a minuscule chance of winning. So, a lot of times on Two Gamers, we see the two chalk teams pretty popular. But do you think because this is such a close matchup in the first series of the day, and because you can jam in 4 FPX if you go with IG, do you think that ends up being more chalky?
Yeah, honestly, I think that's a good question for DFS purposes. Obviously, that's one question everybody asks. FPX, I think. So obviously, Rogue Warriors, like you said, I mean, I'm scratching them off of the my players pool, but obviously we have to analyze the way that they play, whether that helps FPX to gain more kills. Whether Rogue Warriors likes to team fight or not, but obviously they do. Like last split and the year before that, I mean, Rogue Warriors is like notoriously known for giving up a lot of kills, right. So a lot of deaths. So obviously that helps FPX. So yeah, I mean, I think jamming in as many FPX players as possible, I think would be good. So obviously, in order to do that, you would have to play IG. So that's one way to think about it. But then if you look at the IG Suning, matchup, I think IG last split kind of tended to play much slower than the year before. So I don't know if that will be the same coming into this split, but with the new top laner, when they get new players, they tend to play a little slower because to get that new player to get adjusted to early game and not making any mistakes, like they just play safe. Yep. And looks like, I mean, like I said, looking at his champion pool, I think he will play safer on the safer side. So in my opinion, I mean, I think Suning also, like, they don't like to play that fast, but obviously they love to team fights. So I think, I mean, I think a lot of players, according to that logic, I think a lot of players will play FPX and Invictus Gaming. But I think just having Nenny up top, that people have never heard of this guy, maybe that will scare people off of Invictus Gaming and then just go with the two favorites, FPX and Suning. But yeah, I honestly think Suning will win, like you said, 2-1 or 2-0. I think Huan Feng will be motivated because they brought in this new AD carry, awesome or something like that. So I think that will kind of push him and motivate him a little more. And So I think, yeah, I mean, I got FPX and Suning in my opinion, but like you said, I mean, I'm the kind of guy that makes two lineups on these 2 game slates, just one cash lineup, like, and then one GPP lineup.
Yeah.
So I'll probably go, FPX Suning and then FPX Invictus Gaming for GPP. So that's probably how I'm gonna approach.
Yeah, I like that idea. I think you could that first series. It's so close. I think making more than one lineup, even if you're not like a 10 lineup guy, let alone a 150 lineup guy. I think if you make more than one lineup, you could play both sides of that IG Suning matchup with FPX and then hopefully come out ahead on your ROI for the day. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. One extra point I'll make about FPX is Bo, who used to start for FPX early in the last split, obviously got suspended, and he's suspended until July 1st, 2021. So that kind of, tells me that Tien isn't, he's not, pressured to play well by Bo, like, pressuring him behind his back. And so I think Tien will be, I mean, he's an older guy. So I think he will be, kind of calm, and I think he was already integrated, obviously, with the team. I mean, they were in the finals of the last split, and they lost to RNG. But I think they're gonna continue what they had before, and I think FPX will cruise. But like I said, I think Rogue Warriors tends to play fight fast, and they love to team fight too. So I think FPX has some good kill potential there. So
yep. I agree wholeheartedly with that, man. I think FPX are in a great spot tomorrow. I love the lineup, man. I honestly think FPX are the lineup wise, at least if they come out and play to their full potentials, I think they're the best team in China, honestly, which is maybe a little bit of bias because I love watching them, and Nuguri is my favorite player right now. So maybe it's a little bit of bias. Obviously, there's a lot of great teams, but I do think FPX are great. They're in a great spot. So all aboard FPX, and then jump on either side of that matchup is where we're at, right? So,
exactly.
Yeah, so I think that's it for today, Chan. Hopefully everybody enjoyed the advice. If anybody has any questions, drop a comment down below, and we'll scan them throughout the next few hours before the slate starts tomorrow morning, and we'll get you any answers on any questions. If you could leave us a like, that would be great on the video. And even better if you could subscribe to the RotoWire channel, especially if you're a fan of multiple sports. We've got tons of podcasts and video casts on the channel. Baseball, football is going to ramp up here shortly. Basketball is winding down into the playoffs, but we've got that. Soccer will ramp back up. We're going to do Euros coverage starting next week. So there's going to be a ton of coverage on the channel. So subscribe, especially if you're into more than just League of Legends. That'd be awesome. And then if you're interested in checking out the RotoWire website, you can go to rotowire.com/pod for a free 10-day trial. No credit card required. You can check out the site, especially even if you're just interested in League of Legends content. We've got a ton of stats and information on the website. Obviously it's the start of the split, so we don't really have a lot of stats to work with right now, obviously, but they're all going to be on there as soon as things get rolling. So if you want to check out the site for free for 10 days, rotowire.com/pod is how to do it. Chan, thanks for joining me. It was a great first episode, in my opinion, and look forward to talking to you again. We're going to be busy, man. Every single day there's something going on. So we'll talk to you again soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, Ethan.